everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing another simple but impactful art tutorial. Anyone can do it. And let's get started. Here's a little sampling. Okay, so you're going to need some sort of thick cardstock, acrylic paper, watercolor paper, even construction paper. Acrylic or watercolor paint. We're using a robin's egg, a fuchsia pink or hot pink, black, and one of my favorites, that deep periwinkle. For crayons, we'll be using white, like a hot pink, and black. Besides that, you're going to want a rounded brush. You don't have to do this, but you can use a ruler. It's always nice to have a little bit of a border around your images, and it just makes it look a bit more finished off. You can eyeball it, but I always get excited, especially when I'm doing just like some random squiggles. I get really wild and loose, and I sometimes forget. This doesn't have to be precise, it's just to guide your eyes. As far as the paint goes, you literally need one drop of paint. That's it, one drop of paint. And as you can tell, I'm just tapping the paint and mixing in tons of water with it. And it's a good idea to test it out on another sheet of paper just to see, like, okay, do I like this? Do I like the color combinations before you get into it? The more crayon is on the paper, the more the watercolor, the paint is going to separate from it. It's the wax from the crayon that creates that separation. So the thicker the crayon, the more likely the watercolor is to spread around it. Now you're going to want to take this section by section. Don't worry about rushing to get it all covered. The paint will dry fairly quickly, but if you work in small sections, then you really don't have to worry about that. Just add water if you have to, go back over the same sections. Make sure you get lots of water on that paintbrush. And you're just going back and forth. Be careful not to go over that line if you did draw a line in pencil, because it will not come off. That paint will seal it in. No pressure. And then we're just going to erase the pencil. Make sure to rinse your paintbrush in between colors. All right, now we're gonna get into the black. I love the black because it's so strong, and you'll notice that different pencils are waxier than others. And this black is so waxy. And I didn't know what the design was going to be. I'm just being intuitive. I'm just feeling it out, seeing what works. The paper is so small, and the risk here is so small that it pays to just experiment. I was trying to figure out if I should fill in this gap. And then I was like, you know what, leave well enough alone. So step back, take a look at it. It can be easy to just keep going and going and going. And sometimes perfection is simplicity. Lots of tapping to make sure to get as much of that paint out and really dilute it. And see how this one is super streaky, which I'll be fixing later? The way to prevent that is by using lots of water with your paint. Don't be afraid to use lots of water. You can always build up your color later on. This is so therapeutic, guys, and just so much fun. It's really kid-friendly, so if you're looking for an art project to do with your kids that isn't going to make a big mess, the success rate is going to be really high, and it's just so fun and relaxing. This is it. And I promise you, it is just as satisfying to do as it is to watch. Also, can I just say that a big part of the fun is the color combinations. Just seeing these colors next to each other, figuring out what it is that you can create. Oh, this just brings me back to my youth. It brings me back to Saved by the Bell, and I can't even speak after I said Saved by the Bell. It just puts me all up in my feelings. By the way, I love making abstract faces and then asking people whether they see the face or not. This one is a really simple example, but I've got some super abstract ones that have stumped people. But to me, the face is so obvious. So either I suck at making abstract faces or they suck at spotting faces in images. We're gonna go with the second one. So one last thing that I found is that the larger the canvas, the larger the work, the more difficult it's going to be, or possibly be, to keep the streaks out. So I would say to experiment first on some smaller sheets of paper and just get a feel for how much water you need. Just if you haven't done lots of watercoloring before, just get a sense of it, just warm up. And I would say gradually increase the size of the canvas that you're using. Okay, let's do a couple of white ones, and then we're going to wrap this up. And that's about it for me for today. If you like this video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe so that you can get more ideas to help you be more creative every day. It doesn't have to be major, it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be difficult. There's so many opportunities for creativity.